What's up? I'm Matt. This is Let's Talk Music, and I am here with Helsinki-based Fearout, talking to Justus and Topi. How we doing today, guys?
Fine, thank
Doing
you.
fine.
Is
Doing
it
fine.
Topi
How
or
are
is
you?
it Topi?
It's Topi,
Topi? Okay.
but you can call me Toby. It's a Finnish version of the same name, basically.
Yeah, I wanted to pronounce it right.
Yeah, that was good.
So, yeah, Joni sent me your new song from Inverse Records, and really dug it. But it's a crazy name. So tell me about that. Hey Stringer, where's Wallace? How did that name come about?
Yeah, well, personally, I'm a real big fan of the TV series The Wire,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one episode in the first season where I don't want to spoil anybody, but there's one person who's gone missing, and Stringer Bell is one of the bad guys, and his his mate is trying to find out what happened to Wallace. So that's the basically almost direct quote from the TV series. Hey Stringer, where's Wallace at?
Okay.
So that's the story.
Yeah, I mean it's a killer song. I love the chorus.
Thanks, thank you.
And you guys, I mean, when I'm looking through your roster, you got Justice as the singer, but all of you sing. So you guys all do
Yeah,
backing vocals.
yeah. We got real, and we have different types of voices. For example, Toby, he has really low bass kind of sound. Mintu, who is our female bass player, she sings really like an angel, and Ari, who is a guitar player, he has a real high pitch, sort of almost Ronnie James Dio-esque vocal. So it's a good structure vocal wise.
That's kind of ironic. Yesterday, I interviewed Resolution 13 from Finland, and
Mhm.
their new singer, he said, is like Ronnie James Dio, same
Oh,
voice and so it just, 2 days, two bands from Finland, and we both get Ronnie James Dio thrown up.
yeah. Now guitar player is short like Ronnie James was also. So there's that also.
Yeah,
So
it's easy to talk behind Ali's back because he's not here, so
Yeah,
we can tell that he's short.
yeah.
well, he'll if he looks, he'll see it on YouTube. So
Cool.
so your new album, your new EP is called Resistenza,
See,
and it drops May 5th.
yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
And that's through Inverse Records.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
That's our second album, EP, maybe 7 songs. Some well, they're a little bit more punk rock this time. It's kind of short, maybe 23 to 24 minutes. So straight to the business, and uh,
Yeah. In and out.
nobody gets bored. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah, and that's a I think that's a kind of a messed up problem these days, because I remember back when I was a teenager, and I would listen to Metallica or bands like that, and Master of Puppets. I mean, I don't think there was a song on there that was shorter than 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
So, and it really, that I believe is their best album. And I mean, it really captivated me. It really drew me in from, Battery being the first song all the way to Damage Incorporated. It just,
Yeah.
it was like, just caught my attention. And today's kids just don't have the attention span.
Yeah, that's true. And it used to be like you put a vinyl and you played the first side, then you went and turn it around and listen to B side, and you listen to whole album from start to finish. And then nowadays you listen to Spotify or YouTube, skip this
Yeah.
Yeah,
bunch
just
of
one song at a time. In that case, I can find myself listening to music just one song at a time many times if I don't want to uh, hear the whole album at once. But or I just have a playlist with with a shuffle on. So I
Right.
have just one song from, so it kind of keeps it mixed. And also I like to listen to the whole albums from start to finish also. It depends on the genre, basically.
Well, I know I've talked with a lot of guys, I mean, vinyl's making a comeback. You guys, are you pressing any vinyl or are you just doing streaming?
Streaming and CDs. There has been a couple requests to do vinyl, but it's so damn expensive to press them by ourselves. So let's not say never, but maybe one day.
Okay.
Not at this point, though.
Well, I mean,
the price should be so high that unless we want to break even, so
well,
we don't have to pay for it.
It's running. I mean, from what I understand too, it's the production of vinyl is quite behind. People are still waiting on their product that they ordered, 5-6 months ago. So
yeah, they're still printing Adele albums, I guess.
yeah. So I mean, CDs. I liked CDs for the simple reason that with a CD player, you could just skip if you wanted to the next song. You didn't have to fast forward or get the needle just right. But I tell a lot of people that I'm more of a nostalgic kind of guy. I love my my 80s, 90s rock, 70s. I really enjoy, the sound of vinyl. And one thing that I missed that probably will never make a comeback is cassette tapes.
Yeah.
I remember taking that tape out, putting it in the tape player, hitting play, and then opening up the jacket and reading the lyrics to the songs, reading who produced it, who did this, who did that. That made
That's how I started. That's how I started listening to music, to copy from friends' cassettes, and later I didn't have a CD player as soon as many other had, so I recorded to a cassette from my friends' CD players.
Yeah.
A couple of vinyls also from my father's collection, but it was not my genre basically. So
yeah, and then back in the day, the trading of those cassettes, it was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, lots of older metal bands, they traded their cassettes, and you could hear Sepultura or some really from obscure countries. From our perspective, you could hear stuff you wouldn't. I mean, nowadays everything is in internet, but back in the day, it was just tape trading.
Yeah, of course we had radio, but radio didn't play much that kind of music.
Right. So
at least here in Finland.
Yeah.
In your press release, I found this kind of interesting. It's got you guys categorized as a rock, metal, punk, stoner band.
Yeah, but basically we don't want to categorize. I mean, nobody likes to categorize their music, but you have to describe it somehow. And our songs, they have an influence of punk rock, metal, hard rock, whatever, stoner. So just put everything next to each other. And
maybe the listener can find something from any of those genres, not from all songs, but in certain songs.
Yeah.
So you got this is a follow up to your debut album, Bleed Through, which was released in November 2021. How did that album do? I mean, did you guys get good response to it?
We got good reviews, yeah, and on a gigs we did, we sold it nicely. I think, and we were just happy to get it released. I mean, we started kind of long ago and just composed and wrote music and played it on our gigs, and then finally we started thinking that should we do something with this, put them to an album, and then we went to studio and recorded it and found a Inverse record who wanted to release it, so it went really easily in that sense.
So yeah, I mean being November 2021, I'm sure COVID threw a monkey wrench in some things too.
Yeah, yeah. We recorded drums before COVID hit really Europe, and then it took like 6 months, and we didn't do anything. We were just waiting. Are we all gonna die? What's going on here? And then we continued recording basses and guitars and finally vocals. But it took almost a year and a half to just record it. It slowed us down really badly.
Yeah, I mean, it affected everybody, not
Yeah.
just musicians. I mean, well, my job, I drive a truck, so we never stopped. I mean,
Yeah.
it was it was kind of just frontline, like the medical workers and whatever, and there were a lot of warehouses that shut down. The ones that didn't, you had to pretty much throw on a hazmat suit to go in there. So yeah, it was kind of screwed up, but I know it hit the entertainment industry the hardest, because I mean,
Yeah.
you guys weren't able to, tour. You wasn't able to, get out and play any kind of gigs. You wasn't, I mean, I don't know how merch sales went then, but I mean, I'm sure people were still listening to music.
Yeah.
It was harder, it's harder when you can't get out there and be in front of people to,
Yeah.
sell your brand. And then, it just, the only thing that I think for musicians or artists or, whatever, is that during COVID, you had the time to actually sit and write music. Um, I'm sure, like, I know a lot of bands said that they wrote music continuously and was file sharing with, the other band members and stuff. And, I think that was the only decent thing that came out of COVID. But, it really just, it really shut down the industry for a minute.
Yeah, and there were really, at least here in Finland, there were really some weird rules or laws. For example, 2021, you couldn't have a rock concert in a bar. That was forbidden. But you could have a karaoke there. Same, the bar was full of people were singing, but you couldn't have a band there. Karaoke was fine, but no, if it was live band, it was forbidden. So really, it makes no sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. See, we was here. At least in Ohio, I know California was worse, but in Ohio, the way it went down was bars were really not doing anything. I mean, there was quite a few of them that went under because people just were, in fear of going out and being around each other.
Yeah.
But the bars that were open, there was a limited capacity that could be in there, and they had to sit in every other stool. They couldn't sit next to each other. And then of course you got hand sanitizer everywhere, and people, wearing masks, which, makes it a little hard to drink a beer, but whatever.
Yeah. Maybe if there's one silver lining there, after COVID, people seem to appreciate live music more.
Oh yeah.
So I remember first concerts I went into see my favorite bands, the crowd were wild. It was really nice atmosphere, and everybody was enjoying it because it was for 2 years everything was forbidden. So
right.
It was nice.
And, I mean, and music it's a community. It doesn't matter what genre it is. It's a community, and those people need each other. The bands need the fans need the bands. You know what I mean? And then the fans mingling together. I mean, I remember a while back I went and seen Tesla. And we a song came on that, like, yeah, just the way was What You Give. And this guy after the song hits me on the arm and he goes, "Man, I really enjoyed that." I said, "Yeah, it's a kick-ass song." He says, "I really enjoyed." He says, "Looking over at you and the smile on your face when that song started."
Mm.
It was just, that's what I'm talking about with the community, and fans are just, yeah, I mean, now that things are back in full swing, I mean, how are they over in Finland? Are they in full swing now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there
yeah.
are gigs everywhere, and
Yeah.
the there is more bands wanting to have gigs than there is places to.
To
They
Have
can't
them,
accommodate.
yeah,
they can't
yeah.
get everybody to play even.
Right.
But during the COVID, we were in a lucky situation that we all have almost all had work all the time. Some of us had like short times of work because like laid off for a while. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, we could be working all the time, and also we practiced playing and rehearsed. We had
Yeah.
our normal rehearsals. If everybody was okay, of course. If somebody got the virus, then we couldn't.
Right.
But otherwise, it was kind of normal, but no gigs basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was the same way here. I mean,
Time to compose some new music.
yeah, I talked to quite a few bands during COVID, and outside of driving themselves crazy because they couldn't get out and play. That's what I was saying. They were doing file sharing and writing new music and stuff, and um, there was a lot of places that laid off or shut down during the worst of it, and so yeah, it was a real pain in the ass, but
Yeah.
it's his. I mean, it's still around, but it's not nearly as bad. So it's we can kind of say it's history now, and we're back to somewhat of normal life.
Yeah.
So Topi, I wanted to ask you, what got you into drums, man?
Oh, I've been always musical. I attended like music, my normal composite school. We had like a music bias in our class, so we had more music lessons than in average otherwise. And I played piano a bit when I was younger, and then we had drums in a classroom, and a couple of my schoolmates we just started to play, and I wasn't as good in with guitar and bass as other two guys, so I kind of end up drumming. And I haven't taken any lessons. Maybe you can hear it from the albums, but I haven't taken any lessons. I'm like self-taught myself to play, and always played a bit. And then once with my previous band, they asked me to play with them, and because we have been jamming with our mutual friends drums, and then I kind of started to play with them, and uh, after a few years, I switched this band Fearout, and I don't know, I just kind of uh, got there without any real uh, plan to play drums.
Gotcha. Now, as a drummer, who do you like? Who do you draw influence from?
Uh, Basically, our drumming, my drumming is quite simple, but I like to pick up some hooks and stuff from Gavin Harrison, drummer from Porcupine Tree and Pineapple Thief, and others also. Uh, but of course, I'm not in at that level of a player. But some ideas picking up everywhere, basically. From the music, I like to listen. I like to listen more of this progressive metal and progressive rock kind of side, which isn't what we are doing here, but
Yet.
still, yet, yeah,
So, you a Mike Portnoy fan then?
yeah, uh, yeah. He's not technically the most advanced player now all the Dream Theater fans and Portnoy fans are going to be mad at me, but he has a really good style and a really good taste of playing. Of course, really technical, way beyond my abilities, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm more like the style and the taste of playing that Mike does,
his
more than the technical abilities.
right. His band, the Winery Dogs, are coming. I want to say this month or next month. I would love to try to get an interview with them because I mean, I'm a Portnoy fan. I like Billy Sheenan, so you know, I mean, it's a nice little band that they've put together. And you know, the music is different from what you know you're used to with Dream Theater and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Justice, what about you, man? What got you into singing and guitar?
Well, I've been singing since I was probably 3 or 4 years old. I've always loved singing, but I got into guitar basically when I was 12, and then right after I learned basically three chords. It was band time, so we formed our first bands, and we really started playing something hard rock like Wasp or Twisted Sister. That sort of, which was popular in 80s, and then a little by little progress to a heavier stuff, Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer type of thing. But I think my roots are really in the 90s rock, 90s alternative rock, and metal rock of the 90s. So really love like bands like Smashing Pumpkins, Therapy, and stuff like that. 9 Inch Nails, obviously, and I really have taken probably most of my influences from there.
Yeah.
So
when you said you learned three chords, I was going to say, well, hell, you could play for AC/DC.
yeah.
I tell you what, for
overqualified to status quo.
right, for being you know, such an awesome band. I mean, it is like I'm not I've played some guitar, I've played some drums. I'm not, you know, going to even say that I could sit down and keep tempo with a band or anything like that. But you know, Angus Young just he keeps it simple and it freaking rocks. So I mean that has been worked for them, and then you got you know bands like let's say Testament, where you got Alex Skolnick, you know, who is just a very technical guitarist, and I mean that rocks too. But I mean, you know, and then there's all the in between. So yeah, I mean the '90s were for me. I wasn't. I mean, I ended up getting into the alternative, but more the hair metal. I loved my hair metal, man. And then I didn't care if they looked like girls or whatever. They was, you know, just throwing out the subject of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and I was like, hell yeah.
Well, we have a song called Hanoi Rocks in our new EP.
Yeah,
which is kind of
EP.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it metal. It was even before Guns N' Roses and Mötley Crüe and stuff like that. But yeah, but their looks, their outlook was they got huge hairs and makeups and real cool band.
Oh yeah. So this one, what are we looking at for the next single? As far as
next, the next single is called "The End of the World."
Okay.
Happy subject. So it was really heavily influenced to the feelings and kind of really sad feelings I had year back. Just when we thought that we got out of COVID and all the shit that it brought, and then the Russians attacked Ukraine, and the war started in Europe, and it was really like, are we never gonna learn? Is it always? Do we always have to repeat the same mistakes that people did in 40s and like that? So So basically, the song is about all the atrocities we've been doing to each other since the day one. So people have been very good killing each other throughout the history. And yeah, I could have written 26 verses there. I wouldn't have ran out of ideas, but we stuck up with the 3+ choruses. So yeah.
Now, is that going to be released before the album release, or is that after?
It's before. It's April 5th or 6th. Not sure. April 6th, I guess. It's just prior to Easter. So yeah.
So a happy song for Easter.
Sure. if you're into end of the world, yeah.
I feel you. I mean, I don't like what goes on in the world. That's one of the reasons I kind of turn to music is it's very therapeutic. Be very therapeutic for many reasons. It can be therapeutic for the fans. It can be therapeutic for you guys, the musician, which has been a big subject lately of mental health. It's been in a lot of bands that I've talked to, and I know that they offer like the music therapy, and it's I mean it's I don't know how the healthcare system works in Finland. Here they offer music therapy, and it's really neat that they're incorporating music into talk, to open up and to express yourself and to help you with your mental issues, whatever they may be. And instead of traditional of so I feel like that's I feel like it's a big breakthrough in psychology, because
that's happening here also, and not just music. Every form of art is being used for mental health treating.
And I mean it's a huge subject. I mean, pardon my French, but we got a lot of fucked up shit going on in the world. It ain't just over there.
But in a lighter note, I just read an article of research that people listening to heavy metal are happier on average.
I seen that.
Yeah. So maybe we are doing something right.
Right, but it just seems kind of weird though, because it's always like you think of heavy metal, you think of like, oh, they're devil worshippers, and it's this and that, and you got the mosh pits and people's crowd surfing and stuff, and
it's a channel to vent out the bad feelings, basically.
Right.
Really bad energy.
If you're just listening happy music, then you cannot cope with your bad feelings at all. You're kind of burying it under the happy feelings.
Very true. I agree 100%. But yeah, man, it just I'm looking forward to the release of the album. Definitely want to check out the next song. Like I said, I really enjoyed this one, and it was just like I looked at the title and I was like, this is a very strange name for a song, but it freaking rocks. So yeah, I had inverse up. I was like, hey, yeah, I want to talk to these guys. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
And fellas, we're just about out of time. So I know it's getting to be about 6 o'clock there. So I'll let you guys get evening, and I gotta get to my afternoon. I gotta get stuff done around the house before I go back to the almighty job tomorrow.
All right. Thank you for having us, and it was really a pleasure talking to you.
You too. Thank you guys for being on.
All right. See ya.
Hey, you can send that to me.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.